Hey, good morning, guys. What do we got going on here? Got the camera on backwards. Try it again. There we go. I just spilt my box. All of this all over the floor. Had to pick them all up. All my little Spider-Men. Put them back in their little spots. My goodness. That was a fun time of pick up sticks. For real. Not. How are you guys doing? Did you order WandaVision? First time we've had a vision since, well, the only other vision they ever made. They showed us they were going to make another vision. Never happened. I don't know what difference there is between the two visions, to tell you the truth. Maybe that's why they never made another vision. Wanda, we've got a few of those. I ordered mine, of course. How you guys doing? Toys Mafia, how you doing, man? You're practically always the first person. I think only once do I not remember seeing you, the first person in here. So good to see you. Good morning, or afternoon, or evening. How you doing? CBS Sci-Fi. How is everyone doing? I'm doing well, thank you. Jake, good morning. How's it going, man? Siri. It's that time of day again. Happy Saturday, everyone. That it is. So I'm looking at my list of ones that concerned me that I wanted to get to. So we can mark off some of these because we've done them. Wherever my pen is. I'm normally more organized than this. For real. Let's see. For some reason I have Deadpool on here. There must have been a reason I was concerned about that. Amazing Spider-Man 2. That would be the other Andrew Garfield. Nick Fury and Drax. We got the Goblin PE-007. PE-008 was the Doc Ock, right? I wasn't concerned with him. I did get 2 new packages this week, though. Let's open those up. Okay, new Fisons. The 43A, the 42. I think one of these is pale, another one's suntan. Other than that, they're the same figure. And the A, I think, comes with the head sculpt. And I think it's a red head. I think that's why I ordered her. Maybe we'll do Fisons today. Get some measurements, add them to the sheet. A little customization from UPS. Love it. Or EMS, or FedEx, or USPS, or Amazon, or whoever it is that's delivering our packages. It never changes. All right, I've got supposedly 2 more of these coming. So this is brand new. When you buy figures from Hong Kong, retailers or resellers, if they get them from Hot Toys in Hong Kong, There's no brown shipper box. I think this came from 1/6 kit. Spider-Man upgraded suit. You know, might as well just keep the Spider-Man. Let's do this. Let's do the Amazing Spider-Man 2, the second Andrew Garfield figure, and I think that'll probably cover it. What do you think? Get the measurements on these facings. Evidently, I have 2 new goblins. I must not realize that I ordered a second one. Let's open this Andrew Garfield first. This was sold as new. So we're looking at a figure that's 10 years old, supposedly never taken out of the box. So let's find out. A brand new 10-year-old figure. MMS 244, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man. Man, I tell you, I couldn't leave a figure in a box for 10 years. I couldn't do that. So I've got Amazing Spider-Man. Had him come in a few weeks ago. That's this guy. NKSG, how you doing, man? By the way, those of you on the Northern Hemisphere, the United States is celebrating Daylight Savings Time this weekend. So tonight at 2 a.m. Sunday morning, the United States will be setting our clocks forward 1 hour. So if you are not in the United States but dealing with people in the United States, just know that we set our clocks ahead. Some other countries do it at different times. If you're on the Southern Hemisphere, know that we've set our clocks ahead 1 hour. Some of you will be setting your clocks backwards 1 hour in a week or two. Some of you may be doing it this weekend. So it's going to screw everything up in any of your business dealings. We're going to lose an hour of sleep. Fun. Not. So that happens tonight here in the United States. Unless you're fortunate enough to live in Arizona. Arizona says, we ain't playing that game, and we ain't moving our clocks. So Sideshow exclusive on this one. On top of that, I don't know what that came with in addition to the standard version. Sometimes it's a little something, extra feature, extra piece. Matt, 2310, how's it going, man? I got my events. I got my Spidey before you did. How'd that happen? Somebody screwed up someplace, and they're giving me the figures before you guys get the figures. I'm always the last person, it seems, on the planet to receive any of my Hot Toys figures. So I don't know how I managed that. So let's see if we recognize anybody. Again, this figure is, what's the year on this one? I told you 10 years. I want to make sure I'm telling the right time frame. 2014. So that's 6 and 1 is 7. 7-year-old figure. Brand new in the box. Howard Chan, JC Hong is the painting controller. Accessory sculptor Ming and Mr. Young. Accessory supervisor James N.Y. Dixon Chan, Monster Jr. Some of the old crew that's not there anymore, of course. So we have Howard Chan, of course, executive producer, and JC Hong. Monster Jr., product designer. The only names I recognize on here. So those guys are long gone. It's hard to tell if this was opened or not so far. Shoebox ones, they don't have the sealing on it, evidently. See if it has that new Hot Toys smell after being 7 years old in the box. 7 years. Jeez. How do you do that? How do you buy a figure, not take it out of the box for 7 years? Upgrade is going to be my first Spider-Man. Nice. Can't wait. Sideshow ships them soon. So I don't remember this movie that well, to tell you the truth. I don't even know who the villain was in it. It definitely gives the appearance of being new. The little foam that's underneath the arms here is like stuck up in there because that foam biodegrades over time, especially from heat. So it's definitely attached itself to the suit. I mean, I'm pulling it apart like Velcro. So, I mean, it's very believable at this point. And it smells brand new. Jeez. Looking at this suit, again, I don't remember the movie well. I'm really digging it right off the bat because it's gone back to the more classic colors that we're familiar with. Not necessarily the bright blue that Andrew was in the first film. I really should watch these films before deciding to unbox the figure. But I didn't have any idea what I was even going to do today. I've not been managing my YouTube channel properly. Okay, this hand looks very unique or broken. One or the other. I can't tell which it is. So I started collecting Hot Toys in 2015. That's when I bought my first Hot Toy. My first Hot Toy was the Mark 17. And then I played catch up for years. I'm still playing catch up. So they made some very unique hands, evidently, for this Spider-Man. This is very interesting. I've not seen this concept anywhere else. You guys are probably familiar with this. This is new to me. Very unique. I mean, golly, this is so different, these two, that if I didn't know they were both from Amazing Spider-Man, I wouldn't believe it was such because of the colors. So in comparison here, this is Tom Holland, Spider-Man, to refresh your memories. So here's Andrew Garfield, movie number 1. Andrew Garfield, movie number 2. Tom Holland, the basic suit, his standard suit, the one that's in all of the movies. And Toby. Toby doesn't stand on his own because I got a busted figure by someone that I know for a fact it was a displayed figure. He said it was new. I just didn't feel right about reporting it because everything else looked brand new on his site. And he had 100% feedback, and it might just be a crappy figure from Hot Toys. And I really don't want to believe that, but I don't want to bust him without 100% proof. And it was really packaged so much so it looked like it was brand new, but I just had this entire feeling the entire time I was opening it that it wasn't, and it eats at me. So I so badly wanted to bust him, but every other figure I looked at on his site appeared to be brand new in its packaging. So and he had 100% feedback. Everyone's praising him for selling him brand new figures. So I decided to keep it, not say anything, just be happy with it. But it's not, and it might just be a crappy figure from Hot Toys. It happens. So anyhow, looking at this color scheme, I mean, I wouldn't even believe that this was the same, you know, generation, same story here with such a stark difference. But I like it, and I'm happy to get it, obviously. Which again tells me I should go back and review the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man storyline. I don't remember it that well. Of course, all the Spidey suits, even through the 616 universe, each one of them, he's evolved his suits over time. But for the most part, you know, we get the basics, the essentials, the things that make him Spider-Man. This one is probably the least comic book Spider-Man-y in the movies, and this one they definitely went back to the comic book-y Spider-Man. And this one they paid very good homage to it, as well as this one. They paid very good homage to it. It's always interesting. You get somebody wanting to write a story or tell a story, and they take a classic figure and they decide they're going to make it their figure, or a classic character, and they make it their character, and they just totally jack with it to separate it from everything else. And people will praise it and say, "Oh, this is great! It's nice to see a refreshing new outlook on an old character, and I'm tired of seeing this and I'm tired of seeing that, blah blah blah," and then they don't sell because it only appeals to a certain amount of people. You know, if you're going to take a classic character, you want to keep in mind the classicness that makes them most recognizable, and this is the least recognizable out of the Spider-Man lineup in the movies. Nowadays, though, Spider-Man's gone through a whole slew of changes, so there really isn't anything that's definitive Spider-Man except, you know, still, this is your classic suit, right? Let's get all this out of the way and continue on with this guy. So Amazing Spider-Man had Rhino and Electro, right? Is that who was an Amazing Spider-Man? I don't remember. He's tight. Good joints. I mean, nothing here is moving 100% there. So that's the way a brand new figure should come out of the package. Sometimes, though, Hot Toys sends crap. I mean, even back in the day, my Mark 21 Chrome came to me with a busted, not Chrome, my Mark 21 Midas came with me with a busted wire running from the battery pack to the light in here. So I had to disassemble the entire piece and rewire it from Hot Toys. So, orange vest. This makes me think I need to have more than one of these. A backpack. A teal colored stocking cap. And scarf. And for whatever reason, a mega horn. Man, I wish I remembered the movie. And a what did Peter B. Parker call them in the Miles Morales movie? There's always a something or other. There's always a thingamajig, a doohickey. What did he call it? Okay, so we have the short stack of these. Doesn't have the piece that goes in his hand. It's interesting. So normally, you know, there's 5 webbings that come in that, with the 5th one being the one that runs in his hand. This is a short stack. It's missing that 5th piece. Lego, how's it going, man? Rygard, late to the game, but I'm here. Hey, I was late too. I think I was 2 minutes in. So I'm glad you all are here. Beskar, Cantono, Spider Infestation. Spider-Man is my superhero. I was raised Batman, Superman, Justice League. You know, those were the superheroes that I was familiar with. I knew Batman's story inside and out, Superman's story inside and out. Problem with those guys, Superman's an alien from another planet. I could never be Superman. Batman, filthy, stinking rich, more money than anyone else on the planet, it seems. I could never be that guy. So I never really related to them. I understood them, enjoyed watching them, but there was just no relation to them until I discovered Spider-Man. Of course, I knew of Spider-Man. There was Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Friends, I think, which had Firestar and Iceman, which I don't even know those characters outside of that. And there was a television show called The Electric Company that had a Spider-Man thing, and he always spoke through the bubbles. He never said a word. And so that was really my Spider-Man connection. But then one day I discovered the Spider-Man comics, and I was like, this guy I can relate to. Teenage kid with all the problems in the world of being a teenage kid, and all the powers of the universe on his shoulders, more or less. His Uncle Ben telling him, with great power comes great responsibility. So Spider-Man became my superhero. I gobbled up everything I could on Spider-Man. I could relate to this guy, you know? Alternate cover, this is probably the only thing that made it different from Sideshow exclusive. I don't have any idea. So yeah, Spider-Man's my guy. I've been a Spider-Man nut forever. Since I started collecting in 2015, these figures weren't in production anymore. The Tobey Maguires and the Andrew Garfields, so I didn't pursue them. And then Spider-Man finally came back with Tom Holland, right? So now I have an opportunity to chase him down. I love my Spider-Man. He's during the Mutant Registration Act in the comic books, if you remember, if you've been reading the comics for years, um, and they required all the mutants to register their real identity, and Peter had kept his identity secret for many years. I don't remember now whether or not he ended up being registered on the Mutant Registration Act, or if Jonah Jameson revealed his secret, or someone else, Doc Ock, or or the Craven, or who. I think his secret's been revealed many times. But when they started having the Mutant Registration Act as part of the comic storyline, they made sure to state that Peter Parker is the only non-mutant superhero, or something to that effect, a non-mutant superhero, or something. I forget how they actually worded it, which means he's just like you and I, not born with any special powers. He's a genius, so I suppose you could say that's a special power. Rather than that, he has every problem that you and I have. On top of that, he comes from a family where he's raised by his Aunt May, Uncle Ben, because he lost his mom and dad. So he's just a tragic story in the first place, something that everyone can relate to. And that's why I like Spider-Man so much. I could totally just know exactly where he's coming from and everything that he's been gone through, except for being bitten by a radioactive spider and being given the proportionate strength and abilities of a spider. I can't relate to that. Yeah, I wanted to get bit by a radioactive spider. That would have been cool, right? Probably would have died from radiation poisoning before getting the spider abilities. So we get a tall. I really like these tall ones. Articulated posing stand. You can really get the height out of them. However, I won't be articulatedly posing any of these Spider-Man because of the fragility of them. So all these hands are half hands. Every single one of them are. And I don't know of any other figure that they've done this to. It's quite interesting. They also did something different when they made the Iron Legion, not the House Party Protocol series of Iron Man, but the Iron Legion non-suit Iron Man armor that we've seen in Age of Ultron. And I thought that they would continue on with that concept of placing, for instance, the doors on the battery compartments for the figures, and they did not. Don't remember what else was different on it. Obviously, the hands were, but I thought for a fact that they would continue that. So what you have here are the hands do not come off of the wrists at all. I can see a problem with that if, for whatever reason, you're rough on your figure and you bust that little wrist peg in there, you're pretty much screwed, because the suit is sewn all the way up past the wrist onto that half portion of that hand. And when you remove that half portion of the hand, that's what you have. And it's very unique. I've never seen it on any other figure. I don't know if any of the DX Batman or Superman or anything like that comes with this. I have no knowledge. So I've not bought any of those. I think the only DC character I have is Deathstroke, and I bought him because I bought him as an alternate universe version of Deadpool. Deadpool's a total straight up ripoff of Deathstroke, no doubt about it. I don't think any knowledge person in regards to Deadpool would argue that Deadpool was not a ripoff of Deathstroke. But so if that being the case, then Deathstroke would be a multiverse because the DC universe exists. Um, would be a multiverse version of Deadpool. So this is very unique in the way that it comes without the um, webbing, and the hands and the head's not interchangeable either. I don't think. Let's have a look here. Nope, the head does come off. The head and neck removes. Where's this other? Let's see this other Andrew. See if we can put him on that. So it's the same setup as far as to the way they did that. I mean, the suit doesn't match perfectly because there's a little suit on that neck, but it is interchangeable should you so desire to do that. There's a huge height difference between these two. I mean, insane height difference. That's insane. Um, was there supposed to be this much time frame between the two characters? Was this supposed to be like 16-year-old Peter Parker, and this is supposed to be like 21-year-old Peter Parker? Because a young man doesn't stop growing. Young ladies will stop growing around 16, but men will continue growing 18, 20 years old or even older. Is that what this is supposed to represent? Because Peter was bitten when he was in high school. Again, I don't remember the movie. Sorry to say. But that head and neck do not separate. Bottoms of his feet there. He's nice. I am happy to have him in my collection. No doubt. I've got my Detolfs here. I need to build them, so just like a Storm or Spider-Man. I need to buy a couple for Deadpool figures. So that's going to be the order of things in regards to getting them into glass cases. All my Spider-Man. All right, so you have this relaxed hand. You have, so this will be the closest, I guess, to what I call the spider press or whatever. I never really call it spider press, but it's where he presses his fingers against things and his fingertips bend up. None of the other ones had that. This one actually has the pose, but doesn't have the fingertips bent up. So you have the relaxed hands. You have two of these spider hands. We have fists. It's the only fists we have. There's no hole in it. And again, they're all little, just the fingers, more or less, that attach to that. But there's no hole in that for putting, the web into it, which they didn't include. And we get the I Love You thwip, famous Spider-Man thwip. The thumb's a little lazy on that one. Normally his thumb is right out of the way. A full-on I love you. But it's not a hang tough. Spider-Man doesn't put his thumb in there. His thumb's out of the way because this is how he actuates the trigger. It's in his palm of his hand to shoot the webbing. Unless he was doing, when he was Venom, it came out of the back. When he had the black suit, it came out of the suit. And in the Tobey Maguire, it came out of his body. So he had to flick his wrist to get it to come out. But no matter, the thumb's always out of the way. The thumb can't be, it's not this. That's not Spider-Man flip. The thumb's straight up in the way there. So it's always the thumb out of the way. And we have the grasping hand. And it looks like we have two grasping hands. So this is like the holding something hand, like a USB stick or cell phone or paper or something. It's just a small little thumb up, just enough to shove something into, whereas this one's actually the grasping hand of holding on to, for instance, in this case, the megaphone or whatever the hell this is from the movie, which I don't remember. Sorry. So that's all of his accessories. Pretty easy not to get him screwed up is where his hands belong. Which character is he? Having seen all of this that he comes with, it leads me to believe that really I want to have two of them. One so I can pose them in his, I don't know, winter outfit, and one in that outfit. So I may have to track another one down. Seven-year-old figure, brand new in the box. Jeez. Thank you for not opening up your Hot Toys figure for me. We talked about it before, about how people will state, well, I only opened it up to check it out. Sometimes I think that's bullshit lie. But of course, the purpose for doing that would be the original purchaser is the only one that can get warranty service on it. So even though this is a 7-year-old, never been opened, if anything had been wrong with it, should Hot Toys and Sideshow have the ability to repair or replace it, they would not honor that because I wasn't the original purchaser. So in theory, you would want somebody to open it up and inspect it and make sure it wasn't broken. That means putting the lights in it too to make sure it lights up properly. My Mark 21 Midas, my Whiplash Mark II had a bad helmet. Didn't light up. That one I sent back and they gave me a new one. What was another one I had that had problems? I think there's been 3 that had problems, brand new, from Hot Toys. Hot Toys quality. And now they've pretty much taken Hot Toys quality and thrown it right out the window. So almost saying that now is a joke. I don't know what to say. You would think as they've doubled the price of the figures that quality would have remained at least the same, but they double the price of the figures and the quality has gone down. That is beyond me. I don't understand that. I guess the Chinese government or whoever it is that is making the real money on these figures wasn't happy with the profit they were making. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Howard takes all the profit. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. See what the instructions say. You know, you should always read the instructions. Whether or not you follow the instructions, that's up to you. Number one had the lizard. Kurt Connors as the lizard. Why do I not remember that? The lizard, I think, was the first villain in the well, not counting the burglar. The lizard was the first villain, if I remember correctly, in the Spider-Man comics. Dr. Connors. There's the instruction manual. The mask is non-detachable. I also noticed that these eyes didn't come with any eyes. Love these big eyes. They do not come out, by the way. Says the mask is non-detachable. Don't try to pull it off. But I pulled it off. It says don't pull the mask off. And it shows it highlighted with a dark border all the way around the neck down to the shoulders. I did pull it off. You've seen that. It says not to do it. I think probably what they meant was not to take the head off of the neck. That's not detachable. Don't excessively twist or rub the body, otherwise it may damage the cobweb pattern. And I've seen these when you're shopping on YouTube. Check the lines, or I mean, when you're shopping on eBay or wherever, check the lines. They've worn off. The wrist can be rotated freely in multiple directions. That's not necessarily true because the hand is connected to the wrist. It is rotatable, but not as freely as they allude to in this photograph, because the material goes up past onto the hand, and if you twist it too far, you're going to be in trouble. So it's not freely rotatable. It is rotatable. Okay, there is a wrist peg in there, but the material travels from this arm all the way down to the separation area where the fingers come off of the palm of the hand. So they allude to the fact that you can just twist it all over the place, but you can't. Then the very next picture says, don't detach the upper palm from the arm, otherwise it may be damaged. So it's not designed to come off at all. That the palm of the hand stays on that arm forever. Pull it off, you're going to break it. And here they show all the fingers that go onto those palms and how the webbing attaches to the wrist shooters. Little hole on that. Don't attach the boots. Again, the boots are attached. They're sewn. The suit goes all the way down. So the boots don't detach either. So it shows you do not pull the boot down. It's not designed to be stretched to improve articulation. Don't do it. And the last thing shows you how to dress your Spider-Man in the alternate version, more or less, in his winter garb. So that's what the instructions are here. No battery for him. The Spider-Man that you have there with the Andrew Garfield head sculpt, the first Amazing Spider-Man one, was notorious for having defective shoulders. That's the only Spider-Man I passed on. Interesting. Um, in what manner? As in, like loose joints and the shoulders not staying in position? I'll check mine. So you're talking about Amazing Spider-Man 1, Andrew Garfield, right? Not this one, right? Nemo. Hello, I guess. Not sure what that language is. Greek, perhaps? I don't know. Martin Rygard, yesterday I found a website I didn't know. Number 2046, resin figures most anime, but normal also figures. So I'm assuming you're meaning 1/6 scale then. So it's e2046.com. Help us out with our 1/6 collections. You know what I would really like to find? Um, Somebody on Facebook was making the Hella head sculpt, the Kate Blanchard head sculpt with rooted hair. I have seen a couple of collectors that have that. I would really love to have one of those head sculpts. That would be gold. Another head sculpt I really would like to be able to try to find is a decent one to represent my comic version Mary Jane. I keep buying these redheads hoping to get one that I like for Mary Jane, from the comics Mary Jane, and I'm just not pleased with any that I've come across. Um, Mary Jane's a happy person. She should have a beautiful smile and with her red hair. And I can't find anyone that actually 100% fits what my interpretation of Mary Jane from the comics should be. But for the most part, she's a happy person. Big, teethy grin. I keep all my instruction manuals in a box over there. I used to keep them in the box, take all the accessories out, and I kept the instruction manual in the box. And the one day I couldn't figure out how to get the batteries out of an Iron Man figure. I couldn't figure out where the battery door even was on the gosh darn thing. And so then I had to go through all the boxes to find it. And I was like, I'm not putting these instruction manuals in these boxes anymore. Let's check the shoulders on this other Andrew here. Now, I've learned finally from my negative suit Spider-Man not to be keeping these guys in any type of an action pose, because you will destroy the figure. If you're going to put him in an action pose, put him in it, play with him, let him sit there for a short period and then get him right out of it. You don't want to put any stress on any of these suits. My shoulders feel good on this Andrew. Again, I'm not posing these guys anymore. It's not going to happen. They will be in the museum pose. That's it. That negative suit Spider-Man really burnt me. And again, it's for sale. If anybody wants a negative suit Spider-Man with it's a little bitty infraction right in here where he was bent up at his hip. I'm not giving them away, but I'll give you a good price on it. And literally, I bought a replacement, and I will take out my replacement, put yours in there, and everything else will be brand spanking new, just as such. So if you're interested, if you want a negative suit Spider-Man, just a little bitty thing on there, you can see it in the video that I did a few weeks ago. When I discovered that, I'll be happy to sell them to you. I'm not giving them away. So these figures cost too much money to give away. If I ever hit the lotto and I'm sitting on millions of dollars, I might be generous to give a figure away. But not when I worked as hard as you guys do to buy my $200, $300, $400 figure. Graded suit. Let's get to it. The Spider-Man you opened today have any red blotch stains in the red area? I don't know what you mean. Let's see if there's any stains in them at all. This guy, right? So what I'm looking for is any discoloration, any red that doesn't appear to match with the rest of the suit. That's what I'm looking for. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. I don't see anything anywhere where the red is any color other than the red through and through on every inch of this guy. Everything appears to be consistently red. I don't see any blotch stain anywhere on him. Now, on the blue, I do. I'm going to attribute it to that black foam that sat on it. And only because that I'm now looking at the figure do I see it. I probably would have never noticed it. But right on his rib cage, right by the sew mark where they sew the suit onto the body, there's a little bit of white area there where that foam sat on that. So I don't know if that was originally damaged 7 years ago, or if it was from where the foam sat on it and I pulled it off and it may have taken some of the color pigmentation with it there. It's very, 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 very slight. I mean, I can barely see it, and it may just be material in the texture of it. It may not be anything other than just material from that foam that biodegraded. It's hard to tell, but it's right there, right next to the sew mark. A little bit of white something there, but it might literally just be some of the biodegraded foam. Also, talking about not posing these figures much, up there at the armpit, you can see where they've bunched the material to create the figure. It looks like it's very fragile. I would not definitely want to lift that shoulder up any further than how I have it right now, because I'm afraid that I would totally rip that the way that that is designed in there. They put all the material together to make it appear really nice, but that's could be a problem if I pulled on that. So again, another reason to keep your figures in position. I mean, I have reviewed figures where I've literally just moved them in every particular way to show how articulated they are, how far you can move them for posing. I will not do that anymore. But those are the only two issues that I see on this guy. Andrew Garfield, Amazing Spider-Man 2 figure. Sideshow exclusive. $1.6 1.6 resin that you have to paint. Yeah, I am not a painter. I tried to be a painter, and I cannot paint. E2406.com. Check it out, guys. Martin Rygard says to check it out. I don't know if I told you all, but I bit the bullet and ordered Jazz Inc.'s Vulture. hope I'm pleased with it when it comes. Michael Keaton. It's so funny watching these actors go from DC Universe to Marvel Universe and vice versa. And Michael Keaton played the 1980s Batman, and then he played the Vulture. Ben Affleck played Daredevil, and then became Batman. So he went from Marvel to DC. Who else transitioned back and forth? There's more than just those two guys. I can't think of everyone else at this point. So here again we have the Mysterio helmet, just like we did with the Night Monkey. Neat effect how they did that with the boxes. And then of course here's the reveal of the full portrait in there. Artwork continuing on. Upgraded suit. I like that when in the movie, you know, when Happy comes and gets Peter on the plane so he can build the suit, and I forget how it was worded, but something like, I got the music for you, and of course he put on AC/DC, which appears to be Tony Stark's favorite musical group, and he's playing the AC/DC, and Peter's like, "Oh man, I love Led Zeppelin." So cute. Collection Obsession, there's good advice about that, about these figures, about any of them actually. Be careful moving around the shoulders. You will be sorry. No stains. You got a good one. Awesome. Yeah, and 7 years old in the package, right? 302 figure, mostly known for strange red stains, sometimes issues with wrists, but much more rare. Cool. Thank you very much. So yeah, I did luck out, didn't I? It's nice having your guys' inputs. What I love about our shows that we do on Saturday, it's first reveal for me, and then you guys who own the figures or even are familiar with them are able to share your opinions and experiences with them as well. And God, this guy looks great. I really, again, I never had that much of a connection with Andrew Garfield. I don't have any problem with the actor. I just didn't connect to that Spider-Man. I connected with Tobey and the first three Spider-Men. I never cared that much for Spider-Man 3. I thought they really did Venom poorly. That was my only complaint with it. A lot of people complained about Bully Peter. I never had a problem with that, really, where he became arrogant and cocky. I just had a problem with how they handled the entire Venom thing. Venom was wrong the entire time. And no offense to Topher Grace, who played him. I mean, an actor can only do so much when the writers and the directors have given you a character which is just crappily done. It just really was just a poor representation of Venom. Venom is a much more intimidating character than what they made him into be in the movie, and then they killed him off at the end, we're assuming. It just wasn't the proper way of doing it at all. And they had intended to making 5 movies with Tobey Maguire. Ari had made the intention of making 5 movies, and the Sinister Six was supposed to be part of that. Mysterio was supposed to be part of that. Bruce Campbell was actually supposed to play Mysterio in Spider-Man 4. So they had every intention of continuing the story. But Spider-Man 3 just fell to such poor reception that they killed it at that point. But that was their intent. That was the absolute intent. Toby was supposed to do 2 more movies. And now, of course, we're all hoping that Toby and Andrew will do a multiverse thing with Tom, tie it all in together. As of right now, that doesn't seem to be the case officially. But we all want to believe that that's actually what's going on. I want to believe that. I totally 100% want to believe that. We have the Edith glasses here. Nice. And we have the different eyepieces in a little separate thing, which I like. I like it when they do that. I wish it wasn't this big. I wish they'd like cut this in half and had here and here or something to make them 2 separate ones so they're not so big. But it's nice to keep all the eyes and stuff together in one thing. I like that. So I'm glad to see this again, instead of them just being in here with a little lid and you can't have any way of storing them. I mean, I could put this in a drawer, but not this size of this. I couldn't. So I like and then hate it. But we got the Edith glasses, which are nice. Even dead, I'm the hero. If you remember, that's what Edith stands for. Need some coffee. Collection says you bought Jazz Inc.'s Justice Mobile 1/6 scale. Is that the 1/6 scale? Stellar product. Had a few small defects that he sent replacement parts immediately. Wow. Well, my land speeder came. I must have got. I don't know what the hell, man. My land speeder was crap. And I'm really, really disappointed in that. And it instantly just turned me off on the whole thing. And that's why I stayed clear of everything. And so I'm happy to hear a good report on the Batmobile. That's nice news. Nice news for fact. I've got nothing planned today. I'm going to spend some time in here cleaning this up. Build my Detolfs. This will be the little piece to display the drone on. So this is good that I ordered 2 more of these for a couple of reasons, I'll tell you. Stay. So there's a little mini drone. I've got to find a way of putting all these drones together, more or less, and posing them with the Spider-Man. But one of the things I never really cared for was how Rocket would be displayed, or how what is his name? Winter Soldier's little bird. For some reason I got red in my mind. Can't remember what it is. I never really cared for how they sent the things to get them going. I made my own little way of doing Falcon, whatever it's called. I can't for the life of me think of what it's called right now. Red Hawk? It's not Red Hawk, is it? So anyhow, I'm pleased to see this. Was the point I was getting at. that attach to the larger articulated pose, and then a way of doing this. So these little things are neat and valuable for posing other things in your collections. This will be the piece that will attach it to the articulated posing rod. And it's not, there's no hole all the way through it. So it just rests in there. As such, and it's not in there tight. So as you've seen, it'll literally just fall right out. So there's nothing holding it in there, it just has to rest. But it's designed then with a little hole in the bottom of your drone. And there's your little drone. And I've ordered, I think, the drones by themselves from Hot Toys. And I think there was a third-party manufacturer making them as well. So you have, you can rotate it on itself, okay? You can rotate it on itself here. Okay, so this will rotate. This will rotate. So that's two articulations. This will pivot. And this will rotate. So essentially you have, I mean, golly, many different positions you can put this in to get virtually any position that you want to put it in, which is nice. You're not limited just it being straight up and down, you know, in that manner. If you want to use them to have them coming in at any different angle, you can easily do that. No doubt about it. Definitely multi-positionable. Positionable? Please don't watch my channel to learn English. I don't speak it very well, evidently. I set this over here very irresponsibly, and it appeared that something fell out of it. And I don't know exactly what it was. I know exactly what it was. It was the little cone webbing. There it is. I have to say, I have a lot of webbing. Hot Toys has been providing a lot of webbing. This fell out of it. I got one of these with just about every single figure. And then we get, just as I was talking about earlier, that didn't came with the Andrew Garfield, we get the 5-pack. And we get the one that I really like. Unfortunately, since we're not articulating my figures anymore, we'll be using them. But the Todd McFarlane webbing, I like that. And we get a head sculpt. And this is what you guys were talking about when we did the Night Monkey last week, and when it was saying it gave us a neck. And I was like, where the hell's the head sculpt? And it says in the instruction manual to use the head sculpt from this figure. So unlike the other Tom Holland's, he's got a little tousled hair in front of his face there, which is nice. They've really done a good job with these head sculpts lately, and I'm quite impressed. And this one, No question either. That is Tom Holland. Each one of these is individually hand painted, by the way. Every one of them is, making each one truly a unique work of art. No doubt about it. Keep that in mind. We've got the current lobster claw, black wrist pegs, instruction manual, this is the figure base that came to this one. In comparison to the figure base that came with the Night Monkey. There's the Night Monkey. There's the advanced suit. Or wait a minute. No. Forgive me. This is the movie premiere edition. The movie edition. This suit. What did Night Monkey come with? I know he came with the Molten Man. I've got my other Night Monkey that wasn't the advanced one. Did Molten Man not come with the standard 7-sided base? If you bought the one with the Molten Man, did it not come with the 7-sided base? I'm assuming not. I'm assuming not. So now if you don't want to use one of these articulated poses, okay, stands, you can unscrew this, stick a screwdriver in there and take the screw. Or you can just very Neanderthal, you just pop it off. It'll break that, it'll strip it out. But you can do that, and then you can use one of the 2-prong crotch grabbers if you want to just use that. So will probably more than likely be doing that with this and not using this. It's hard to say what I'll actually be doing, but that will probably be what I will be doing, is removing this. So now if I'm doing an Iron Man or anything along that line, and I want to be able to pose them, Vision, Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel, any of the flying figures, Thor, anyone like that, who don't necessarily come with this, you can attach this to their base and put them into a flight position. Especially if they're a lighter figure like Thor, Hela, anyone you want to send flying, Star-Lord, anyone like that doesn't come with this. If they only come with a crotch grabber, these can still be put into their base, by the way. So these were very valuable for a long time. I think the first person that came with it was Scarlet Witch or Vision. I think it was Vision. I don't remember. I think Vision was the first one that came with one of these. And so I bought like 6 of them, 6 of the bases, just to be able to use these to put my figures up in the air. So I'm happy to get these. They're very valuable. Very valuable. Let's go through the instruction manual. What do you guys got going on over here? #16 Justice Mobile. Man. Sure talking about the Ben Affleck Batmobile, right? My goodness. I didn't see any of those. I've not seen any of the Henry Cavill Supermans. I've not seen any of the Wonder Woman movies. I've not seen any of the Justice League or Batman movies. And I don't hate them. I don't have a problem with them. I just haven't seen them. Also, haven't been keeping up with Scarlet with WandaVision. I need to watch that. When is the last episode for that? Because I've put up a hiatus or a moratorium on talking about spoilers in that show because there are some of us that haven't subscribed to Disney because they don't want to pay for it over a period of time, and they just want to take advantage of the free subscription and then binge watch the entire series, which I've got no problem with you doing. You can do the same thing with The Mandalorian, but I think you definitely need to watch The Mandalorian if you're any type of a traditional Star Wars fan. I imagine even if you're a new Star Wars fan, you would love The Mandalorian. And the same thing with Scarlet, with WandaVision. Same thing. You really, if you're an MCU fan, if you're uh, in any way, if you can associate yourself at all in any way as a MCU fan, you need to watch WandaVision. We can talk about it, but you cannot divulge any spoilers at this point. So after the final episode comes out, let's give it 1 week for you all to buy your Disney subscription or rent it for free or however and binge watch. And the next week we'll talk about anything you want on WandaVision. But like I said, even I'm behind on them. The last episode I seen was with the for you guys that have watched it was with the cast change, and you guys that have watched it know what I'm talking about. So that's where I'm at. So let's not spoil it for anybody on WandaVision, okay? It's really a great series. It's if you're an MCU, not like I imagine everybody here is, you need to watch it, and also Mandalorian. So get your Disney Plus trial subscription if you wish. Binge watch the hell out of it, and then cancel the subscription. I mean, you totally have that right if you have any intention of doing that. But at the same token, let's respect everybody else. Let's not talk about anything that could be a spoiler. We can talk about how gosh darn good it is, how much we may have enjoyed a certain actor or actress, which is a mainstream character from the beginning of the series, not anybody that was brought in later as a reveal. We can't talk about any of those people because that's a spoiler. But we can talk about that. But let's keep spoilers out. Let's let it be enjoyable by everybody. And because it's something you have to pay for to watch, I really think we should be respectful in that manner because not everybody has disposable income where they can just toss away $12 a month or whatever it is for Disney. I think it's $12.99. I think I pay that for Disney. I don't remember, but they always have a trial. You can and just binge watch the hell out of it. I do not. Okay, so years ago, I'm talking about '90s. I bought what you would consider 112 scale figures, which was the traditional action figure back then. And I mean, I bought a lot of them, especially Spider-Man, Toy Biz Spider-Man. And but when I decided to get back into collecting again, and I seen the absolute, complete, and total detail and likeness of the 1/6 scale, I don't even go back to 112. I will buy multi-scaled figures if that character multi-scales. For instance, uh, Ant-Man, Hulk, any of these people that actually can be multi-scalable, I'll buy a multi-scaled figure for that as long as it matches the faithfully. This, for instance, 1/12 scale Ant-Man does not match faithfully. He's in my box of misfit toys. But no, I don't buy 1/12. I have no problem with 1/12. I just enjoy the 1/6, and 1/12 is a lot less expensive. I mean, gosh, I think was it Marvel Select is probably one of the more expensive ones. They could range closely between 50 and 100 bucks for a figure, but still, they're still readily available by anybody. You can do an entire um, army of figures for the price of a few of these hot toys, and um, they're easier to display because they take up one half of the total radius that one of these guys do, literally, even probably less than one half when you consider the height and the radius on everything. That you can really put a lot more figures in your collection with them, and because they're a third of the cost or less than a Hot Toys, when you drop them on the floor, you don't feel so bad. But no, I do not collect 1/12. I wouldn't have a problem with 1/12. I just don't. I can't even collect Detoffs because all my money's going into figures. And these you can buy if you have a pickup truck or something on that line. They have to have them in stock. You can get them for $60 brand new. If you don't have a way of getting them home, then you got to pay for shipping and handling and yada yada yada. And it comes about $100 getting one of these home. And it gets to the point of, do I want to spend $100 on a Detoff, or $112 actually, or do I want to spend $200 on a figure? And a figure always wins. So these are even difficult to justify buying. But I'm at that point now where I'm buying them again. I've got two of them sitting here that need to be assembled. So that's the long answer to just saying no. You like my really good hillbilly? I got a lot of hillbilly in me. The Susu Toys Green Menace, aka Green Goblin comic book style figure. I've struggled with that. It looks amazing. Problem is, I don't have very many, if any, straight up comic book figures that I could think of. Deadpool being one of them that are the exception to that. Most of my collection is MCU. It looks really good. Uh, I would have no problem buying it as far as that goes. I would buy it in a second if I can justify it at this point. Again, we're talking about $100 for a Detoff or $200 for a figure or whatever that Menace is selling for. It looks really good. And Green Goblin, of course, he's an iconic character. Any Spider-Man fan would know who you're looking at when who's that? That's the Green Goblin. There's no question about it. And even the movies, Green Goblin is still recognized as the Green Goblin. You have no problem if you know Spider-Man. If you've not seen the movies, you would say, "Oh, who's that? Green Goblin? Yeah, that's the Green Goblin." It just makes sense. It looks good. I'm just on that fence in regards to the comic portion of it. I have comic Deadpool, but I never bought the comic Thors. I never bought the comic Captain Americas. I never bought any of the renditions of the characters from the comics in that regards. For the most part, my collection is MCU or movies for that in that regards. I don't have any problem with them. It's just that when I seen, for instance, like Thor, for instance, the comic book version of Thor, or the comic book version of Punisher, it or Nick Fury, it just doesn't speak to me and grab my attention so much. However, that Green Goblin does. And so that's where I'm at. I'm on the fence on that. Being a full-on total Spider-Man nut, he tells the story. And we have from my understanding, if I remember correctly, a comic version Spider-Man coming, right? They're doing a classic suit, if I remember correctly. I think I don't remember if it's been on pre-order or not, or if it's just been revealed. I don't remember where that is on that. So it would fit along that line with the classic suit Spider-Man because that's from the comics. So I'm probably going to pull the trigger on it at this point. I just haven't made my mind up. I'm almost positive I'll probably pull the trigger on that Susu Toys Green Goblin, the Fiend or whatever they call it, the Menace or something. So yeah, good call talking about that. The Iron Patriot Hot Toys, which one? I have bought every single one that there is, and each one is better than the last, except for the last, which is not better than the previous. So in the movies, we skipped Iron Patriot 5. Golly, gosh darn it. War Machine number 5 was not seen in the movies. I'll talk about that in a minute. So with each War Machine or Iron Patriot, it just seems to be better than the other. Now, so the first Iron Patriot is the Hot Rod Mark 22, the War Machine Mark II, and the War Machine New Avenger Mark II. So it's really 4 different suits are the identical exact same suit on the original Iron Patriot. So the Hot Rod Mark 22, the Iron Patriot Mark II, or the War Machine Mark II, the Iron Patriot, and the War Machine Mark II New Avenger, they're all the exact same suit. The only difference being in the War Machines, there's no star in them, whereas in the Hot Rod and the Iron Patriot, there's a star in them. So I enjoyed that. And then, of course, you have the War Machine Mark III and the War Machine Mark IV, and each of those just progressively got more and more impressive and awesome and amazing. And then the War Machine Mark VI came out, and I'm like, I actually like the War Machine Mark IV better than the Mark VI, but I collect them all. And the Mark V didn't come out, and I'll tell you why I don't think the Mark V came out. To talk about the Iron Patriot still, Iron Patriot 2, which I have a pre-order, was waiting for mine to come. I don't know if you guys are getting those delivered or not, but being an Iron Man fan, and of course the Iron Patriot and War Machine being a part of that, I'm going to get them for my collection. I've got on the top shelf up there, I think you can see it, the place where they're going to stand. That top row of Hall of Armors are just War Machines. And so we have an Iron Man Mark II up there, which is what Rhodey stole. And then we have the War Machine Mark II, the Iron Patriot, the War Machine Mark II, New Avenger, the Mark III and the Mark IV, and an empty space. So currently the Mark VI will go there possibly when the Iron Patriot comes out, or a Mark V will go there. What's that? The Mark V? There is no Mark V. There also is no Mark 48/49. I'm really curious to see what comes out of this Black Widow movie. Really curious to see what comes out of this Black Widow movie. Feige's been really good at keeping stuff from us. Tom Holland's the big mouth. He tells everybody everything he knows. I really still believe that we're going to get an explanation to the 48/49 conundrum and the Mark V War Machine. I really think we're going to get that explained to us in the Black Widow movie. I may be totally wrong. I'm not affiliated with these guys. And Kevin Feige doesn't report to me. Howard Chan doesn't report to me. JC Hong doesn't call me up. I'm not on any email list where I get any of the information. It just doesn't add up for there to be just this emptiness. And the Mark 49 rescue suit is not Iron Man's Mark 49. That's not even up for debate. I've discussed that for years. And that is not the Mark 49. Hulkbuster 2 obviously is either the 48 or the 49. I refuse to believe that Tony Stark went all the way to India or wherever he was for the wedding, the white suit wedding, see it over there over my shoulder, and left his Mark 47 suit in New York City. Remember when he was in Miami and the Mark 42 was in Tennessee? How he had to try to calculate how much time it was going to take for the suit to get there to get him busted out of the bed rail to kick the guys' butts? Killian's guys or the Mandarin's guys. He's not leaving his suit in New York City 15,000 miles away or whatever it was, with however many hours it would take for it to travel there. He had a suit with him, and we have no other story on that. But he's over there at a wedding, it appears, without a suit, because his current generation suit, the Mark 47, is in New York City protecting Peter Parker. Give me a frickin' break. He had a suit with him. He had the Mark 48, the suit that we don't know about. I guarantee you we're going to get a 48 reveal, and we're going to get a Mark V War Machine. I may be totally wrong, though, but that's my belief on that whole thing. And so, yeah, I'm buying the Iron Patriot for fact. Definitely, he's going in my collection for fact. So where are we at? You must watch Justice League on the 18th. What happens on the 18th? Not the one that came out, the Snyder cut that comes out next week. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Hype for the Snyder cut. You guys are talking way over my head. I'm missing something here. But I'm glad you guys are familiar with it. That's good. It's a beautiful thing about this channel. We all can share everything that we've got going on in the hobby and in the collection and in our passion, which are the superheroes and whatever else that happens to be with this. Anything that Hot Toys makes and anything that's related to this. And I have, 1/6 scale, the whole 9 yards. So I'm glad you guys were able to share. I wish I knew what you were talking about, though. I hope Hot Toys will finally release Cyborg for pre-order. Yeah, from my understanding, he's like the only one not in the Justice League that they didn't put into a 1/6 scale Hot Toys figure, right? That's insane. I hate when they do that. I absolutely hate when they do that. WandaVision is already over. Is it? Is it over? I don't think it is. It might be. I heard a rumor that Detolfs are being discontinued. Anybody else hear that? I've heard people that complain about the glass breaking, but that's because I hate to say it, you're doing it incorrectly because you're not following instructions. It's quite possible that they would be. It's not a perfect case by any circumstances. If they discontinue it, I hope that they would have enough sense to replace it with a better one, as far as that goes. But IKEA is always discontinuing and updating or upgrading their stuff. So you might be right on target with that. Homelander. I don't know what the Homelander figure is. I think I've seen it. I think I know which one you're talking about, but I don't know what he's supposed to represent. Is it a television show or a comic? That's another thing that I'm missing for some reason. Oh, the Gambit sold out, didn't he? Lukey Chung, cringe. What are we cringing? All right, Matt 2310 says, what happened with Zack Snyder? I guess he was the one that started the movies, and then Joss Whedon had to get in there. I have no problem with Joss Whedon. Didn't he do Buffy and Firefly? Isn't that what he's famous for? Zack Snyder finished his movie after years of fan backlash, and it comes out the 18th. It's a 4-hour movie. I see. Okay, now, so how are we able to watch this? Because the movie theaters where I live are still shut down. Is that the only way you can see it in the theaters, or is it going to be on? Is it going to be streamed somewhere? Is it going to be on Netflix or Hulu or Vudu or whatever? That's why Hot Toys released the figures. But he came in and tore the Justice League apart. The Snyder Cut is like a completely different movie. Well, that would be good then to see it then. And so you're talking about Justice League, but I would imagine I would need to start with the Henry Cavill. Isn't that how you say his name? Superman and Batman. I did see Aquaman. I did see that movie. It's the only one I think I've seen of DC recently. I think that's the only one I've seen. HBO Max. I do not have HBO. I don't pay for cable television. I pay cable, but for my internet only. So my TV comes through my internet, Hulu, Vudu, Netflix, the whole 9 yards, Roku, Disney, Stars, Discovery Channel. But things like the History Channel, for instance, even though it's on Roku, I can't subscribe to it because you don't pay for it directly. You pay for it through your cable provider. So I would have to contact my television provider, sign up with a television package in order to have the History Channel on my Roku. And I don't know if HBO is the same or not. If HBO is something that I can subscribe to by itself without having to go through the cable provider, I will. But I'm not going to add a $30 television package onto my internet bill when I don't watch TV in the first place. I have enough television that I can watch through Netflix and Vudu and Hulu and Roku and Stars and CBS All Access and Disney Plus. I've got more TV than I can even possibly imagine. So if I do want to watch the Game of Thrones, I've never seen a single Game of Thrones, not a single one. I don't know anything about Game of Thrones, and I want to watch the Game of Thrones. I'm pretty sure it's on DVD now, but that's another one that I missed that was on HBO. Got the Mark 7 Hot Toys, and it's the first diecast Iron Man in my collection. I think I'm going to pre-order that Iron Patriot as well. The Mark 7 is an exceptional piece. You really did good picking that up. What an amazing piece. The only problem I have with it is the back hip area, this little bitty flap or whatever pops off all the time. It's the only poor quality issue I have with the Mark 7 diecast. Wonderful piece. Excellent one to add to your collection. Good find. Good addition. Good job. Justice League version is not what Zack Snyder intended for Justice League movie. Okay, so Zack was the one that started telling the story, and then they had the other guy finish it, and now Zack's getting in here and re-editing it. It sounds like, is that right? I'm getting HBO Max to see the Snyder cut. I'm hoping it gets released on 4K Blu-ray also. So, do you have to have a cable subscriber in order to get HBO Max? Do you know, or can you just add it to your Roku or whatever that you happen to be watching it on? That's my question for that. Spider-Man upgraded his suit. I keep getting upgraded and advanced suit confused in my mind. Upgraded was the MCU, but Tom Holland advanced suit was PlayStation 4. The company that made that video game designed that suit themselves. It's the first time a Spider-Man suit was designed outside of Marvel having any say-so in it. It's their own suit. I guess Avi or somebody at Marvel approved all of the movie suits, but from my understanding, the advanced suit didn't go that channel. It's their own suit. All right, let's talk about this instruction manual. So first thing they show is how the eyeballs come out of the head. And it's something that we've seen on these before, so it's nothing new. I find it interesting that one of the poses is no white at all. The eyes are totally, completely closed. I don't know why you would want to put Spider-Man to sleep like that, but evidently you can. Here they're showing how the head sculpts can be removed and replaced. And they're showing how the eyeglasses can be put on the ears. And it's interesting, it shows the eyeglasses being held in the hand. I like that. I would have never thought of doing that. And in the comics, Spider-Man's webbing also came out at the legs as well. I think, I don't remember, but I do like how they did that there in the movie. That was really neat. And there's some other things that he can hold in his hands. That mask does not go onto the head sculpt. It is strictly a prop. Strictly a prop. They're showing this on the hands. I want to have a look at these hands. I think there was another figure that had this same thing going on here. See what I'm talking about here in a second. It's not in the hands. They've got these they've devised a new way to attach the webbing to the wrist and the hands with this little piece here. And I wasn't a fan of it when I first saw it on some other figure. I don't remember which one it was. I thought it was neat at first, but then it just looked messy and mucky. And I didn't much care for it. And I don't remember which figure it was that had that. Do you guys remember which figure it was that did this with first? And I didn't care for it. I'm hoping that possibly they addressed my complaints. You know, like JC and Howard watch my show. Because you know they do. Anyhow, this is how you attach the webbing to the figure. So I'm kind of going back and forth now at this point because I got to that in. Um, this is one of those things that'll biodegrade if you leave your suit and your figure in the box for 7 years, by the way. Another thing I always talk about on these hands and wrist pegs, if you ever pull a hand out and the wrist peg's still stuck in the hand, it's my recommendation to leave it in there and not to fight with it, and just grab another wrist peg to replace it. Same thing if it stays in the wrist, leave it in there. Don't fight with it. If you need a different one, you know. Sometimes they fit better than others in regards to how the hands go on and off the wrist pegs. And that, like, that is super loose, super loose. Ratcheted um, elbows. I don't know what I think about that. I would imagine it would improve the strength of the arm for doing things like putting something in the hand or something to that effect, that it may require an additional weight being put onto the shoulder. Whereas, these older guys, there's no ratchet, it's just loose. However far you move it is however far you move it. And I imagine with weight or whatever, it could slide down. So I guess a ratcheted joint is good in regards to being able to put them in a position and it's staying there because gravity is not going to affect it, but it kind of limits, your posability in that regards. Kinda, I guess you could say. Maybe not. Open for interpretation in regards to the opinion of that. Is this black or is it navy blue? What would you guys call that? Is that a black suit or a navy blue suit? Is there any tint of blue in it whatsoever? I used to have these color scale gels that I could hold up to filter out different colors to determine whether or not a color was truly a color or not, or what colors were in it. Reds especially, blues, reds, and blues, oranges, and yellows are in reds a lot of times. I'm trying to see if there's any blue in this whatsoever. It does not appear so. It might be navy blue, but it might be straight up black. Which leads me to believe or wonder what it is in the movie. Is it navy blue or is it straight up black? I'm going to say this is black. And again, I don't know what it was supposed to be in the movie. I remember the movie, obviously. But I think this is black. I would assume that it was supposed to be navy blue. It might have been black. Hard to say. I love how they make the eyes fit in there so beautifully. Good job on that. They've done a really good job with that over the years. I don't remember who it was I first saw that on. Was it Deadpool? Was that who it was? Was it Deadpool? I want to look again and see who it was that painted and sculpted this figure's head. I think JC Hong was the one that painted the eyes or whatever on the Night Monkey. Head painter JC Hong So J.C. Hong painted this. The head sculptor is doesn't say. Head painter J.C. Hong, head art director J.C. Hong, accessories sculptor Oliver Lee. It doesn't say who sculpted the head. But this is a J.C. Hong painted head. He's the big boss at Hot Toys Korea. He's in charge of all the head painters. That's where the heads are made or painted at our Hot Toys Korea. So this is a J.C. Hong head. Pretty sure I didn't drop this head. I drop a lot of things. I don't remember dropping this head. I'm trying to see on this chin here. I don't know if it's a blemish, a light mark, an unpainted spot, or a detail. I don't remember dropping this, and I don't believe I did. But right there on Tom Holland's chin, if you can see that, it's a little white piece there. I can't tell if it's where the paint wasn't applied, or if it touched something while it was applying, or if it was dropped, or if I did that, or if it's supposed to be there. Can you guys see that? Don't know how close the camera focuses. I'm trying to show that to you. I'm hoping you can see what I'm looking at. It doesn't bother me. I've got 2 more of these coming. I'll be able to compare it then. See it really good when he's straight on with the shadow on the bottom of his chin. It almost looks like a cleft in his chin, but I don't think it's supposed to be. Do you guys see that? That looks really good on there. I like that a lot. Let's catch up with chat. So it's coming to Blu-ray. It was already announced in May. Talking about the Justice League Zack Snyder cut. You subscribe to HBO Max like Disney Plus, okay. They might do a week for Troy, okay. Even if not 1 month, $15 a month, and Justice League comes out, and then less than a month later, Mortal Kombat comes out, and that's a win, even paying for a month. Robert Just Fan, how's it going, man? Welcome Saturday, yes. Morning to everybody, he says. I'm hoping ATT WB green lights on Zack Snyder DC movies programs. I don't know what ATT is. I'd like to see more of these movies from him. Justice League 2 and 3. I hope they let Zack do parts 2 and 3. The ratcheted joints make it hard to fine-tune the pose, in my opinion. Agreed. 100% agree on that. Totally. It looks black to me. Yeah, I agree. I think it's black. So, having now taken the figure out of the package, let's get back to the instructions, because what they were talking about here was how these web shooter goes into the hands. I don't, something I'm missing here. Something's not making sense. And that something is that the wrist comes apart. I wish I remember which figure this was that also does this exact same thing. So, um, for instance, on the Spider-Man Thwip hand, okay, the black palm separates from the hand. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. You just pulled it apart carefully. And so you have the palm of the hand right there. And then you would replace it with the webbing coming out of the shooter that is attached to his wrist, I believe. And I think when I first seen this, I enjoyed the uniqueness and their different approach of trying to resolve or create the illusion. What I didn't care for it was that it just makes this globbed mess at his wrists where it's coming out of. So it up to the little triangle here. So you have a little triangle where the web shooter would be in the suit. And so it matches perfectly to that. Okay. But it just appears to be like a globbled mess coming out at that point, and it doesn't all come out all globbled there. He doesn't have a residual muck of gunk fluid accumulating at his wrist as he fires his webbing. And then you would, of course, put, you know, one of these in there, and I thought it was a really clever idea, but I didn't like the big globbled mess that they put there. If they're going to do that, they need to make it thinner instead of being just that. Blah. So it's really unique, and I wish I remember what other suit it was that they do that with. So it's a nice effect, but it needs some more design work to it. It shouldn't just be a big old glob of right there, unless you're just showing it beginning to come out, as in this manner. And it just doesn't make any sense in the storytelling for it to be a globbled mess right there. It just doesn't add up to me for it to appear in that manner. So I think it's a good idea, but it's a fail. And I think I felt that way the other time that I've seen it as well. But that's how that works for that and the other figure that also has that same feature. And I'm sorry, I don't remember which one that is. And here they show the accessory webbing on how you can put them in there. And it's interesting that they show you to pull this webbing through the fisted hand. Not the fisted hand that he has on, but the fisted hands that it comes with as an accessory. These holes are big. I'm going to see how easily it goes in. I have broken these pulling them through because the holes were too tight, and now they make them really easily. The hole is much wider to accept the entire piece, but they were so tight, the holes are so small before that you couldn't put this through. These haven't changed in size at all. These are still the same size, but on some of the older hands, the hole is so small, you need to bore that hole out, stretch it out, put something in there, a metal toothpick or any type of a device that you can make the hole larger to get it in there, because I've literally, they tell you to, when you put this in, they tell you to stick it through as such, okay? And then as soon as you can see the piece there, they tell you to pull it through the rest of the way. And that's because I've broken these in two manners. All right. I've broken them by pulling them off. This little piece just snaps right off. And I've broken them by pushing them on. So they now tell you not to push them on. They never really told you to push them on. They always told you to pull them through, but to pull it through. But now at least the hole is large enough that you can do that without snapping that piece off. You can pull it through the rest of the way that you want. And also, I think they started making them larger because the Todd McFarlane webbing requires the larger connection on both sides in order to go in there, and it snaps through on both top and bottom as well. So if you're going to be using this, it snaps through on the bottom or the top or however you want to put it in there. It's flexible enough that you're able to stick it through, and then it just hides right in there. But this is thicker than what that was, so they started making them thicker for this. But before, the hole was just super tight, and I've broken a couple of those trying to put them into the hand. So be careful on the older figures. If you come across one of the older Spider-Man figures, bore that hole out or something in that hand if you plan on using that webbing for your figure. You'll be sorry otherwise. And of course, they show the current style lobster claws, which I'm not a fan of because they slide up and down, and I guarantee you, in time, your figure's going to slide down that articulated pose. It doesn't actually lock into place. I'm sure there's a way of locking it into place if you want it specifically on there. Throw some glue, maybe some Elmer's glue, some white glue, something just to cause a little more friction on it to lock it in place. The white glue, of course, is non-damaging to stuff. 99.9 tenths of the time. And then they show the drone, how it would attach to that base. And here they're showing you the frailty of the elbows and the ankles and the knees and such in regards to posing the figure over a long period of time, which we discovered with the negative suit. These suits I'm telling you, you don't want to pose your figure anything other than this for a long period of time, for any period of time. I mean, maybe a week, maybe for photographs or something on that line, pose it up and do it that way. But you really are going to be very disappointed in yourself when your figure gets damaged from it being posed into a beautiful action pose. I do not recommend it. I do not recommend posing them in an action pose and leaving them there. You will be sorry. I hate to say it. And here they're saying, don't try to take the spider emblem off of his chest, even though in the movies it comes off. Do not try to take it off, and do not separate the feet. They do not come off either. So those are two things that's warning us not to do that. Customizers, you guys get right in there and start cutting them up. One of you were talking about your, I forget whether it was the Tobey Maguire or the Andrew Garfield head sculpt that someone had customized for you. And yeah, customizers do that. We're very brave in regards to customizing our figures. And it's something that you really have to really take great consideration into before you start cutting into one of these. I mean, $200, $300, $400 or more that you've paid for a figure that you're taking a Dremel to, you're taking a knife to, a screwdriver, popping and snapping and breaking and cutting and jarring and just slicing into it. You lost your mind. So make sure you have a well-planned plan, or that you have a figure that you don't mind cutting into. When you start into it, you may end up with a very beautiful piece of art, a one-off design that nobody else has, or fixing a problem that a figure may have. But at the same token, you're practically destroying it if you do something wrong. Keep that in mind. Then you're selling the parts. Then you're selling parts. Let's put his web gliders on, and then I want to cut you guys loose. Attaches by magnet pretty easily. Just spread the thighs enough to get it in there. It went right in. Pretty easy to figure out which way it goes. You know, the curve up would be where the wind would be blowing it. And then, of course, those pieces would attach where the magnets are. So this is obviously the right shoulder arm. So this one is the left arm, which I just positioned. It doesn't have to be exact. As you can see, a couple of them have grabbed it, a couple of them here haven't. And here you can see obviously the ratcheting, limiting exactly where you can put the hands in your posing of this. Can you see his little feet down there? So there he is. Tom Holland, MCU Spider-Man, advanced suit from Far From Home. 4 suits were in that movie. The homemade suit, the MCU suit was in the movie. Spider Monkey was in the movie, and the advanced suit. So 4 suits represent Far From Home. This has been in every appearance. This suit has been in every appearance that Tom Holland has made. So Captain America Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, Homecoming, and Far From Home. So 5 movies this suit has been in. So if you're grouping your armies or your collections by movies, 5 movies this suit has been in. No changes, same suit in all 5 of them. And will probably be in the new one coming out, whatever the name of that one is. Show you these Edith glasses also. Look at a pair of glasses, the Edith glasses. Did Tony wear these glasses also? Did he wear the Edith glasses? I don't think he did. Did he? It wouldn't make sense, would they? I mean, I guess it would, because obviously he would have had to create the AI, the program, create Edith. Oh, these look funny on him. These look funny. Oh, this is hilarious, actually. I love it. I love it. And this feels like it's possibly metal, by the way. What do you think? How does that look? And that changed the appearance of Peter Parker there a lot. I love it. I love it. And on his cell phone, let's see who he's calling on his cell phone. Microprint. And I just put my glasses away. I'm sure he's talking to Ned. No, Mary Jane. On my way. I think it says on my way 1 to 2 minutes from PP, Peter Parker. And Mary Jane responds back. Oh, gosh, dang it, not Mary Jane. Michelle Johnson, is that her name? I hate that she's MJ. I have no problem with Zendaya. I have no problem with there being a different love interest for Spider-Man. I hate that they gave her the MJ moniker. Gwen Stacy was a girlfriend of his. Betty Bryant was a girlfriend of his. Hell, Felicia Hardy was a girlfriend of his. You know, you don't have to be so narrow-minded that you have to recreate the MJ moniker with Michelle Johnson. She could have been any freaking body else who gives an absolute damn. But by doing that, now that means Peter can't come across Mary Jane and call her MJ. That's insensitive. Why would he call the redheaded Mary Jane MJ when he has an MJ? That's just terrible. That's ridiculous. That's just terrible. I mean, if they wanted him to have a new love interest, I have no problem with it. It's an alternate universe. He can have as many love interests as he wants. He could have been bisexual and had a guy love interest. I wouldn't have given a damn. But for them to call her MJ, it just really eats at me. It really does. She says, I can't tell what she says. Oh, don't text and swing. But that's what the cell phone says on the text message there between the two of them. And this looks like the regular type of a mask that we've seen before. So that's everything there. We've gone through it all. And I've got to rant about MJ. I have no problem with Michelle. I have no problem with that being his girlfriend. I have no problem with the actress. I have no problem with that story. I have a problem with them calling her MJ. That's my only problem. Mary Jane wasn't Peter's only girlfriend. It's his only wife. So it's not like he had to have MJ as a girlfriend. Andrew Garfield was Gwen Stacy, right? Gwen was Peter's first girlfriend, if I remember correctly. The daughter of the police chief. He kind of held himself responsible for her death. In the alternate universe, she became Spider-Girl herself. So there you go. Some more Spider-Man. Got a lot of stuff to unbox. A lot of stuff. Eric Killmonger, Drax, Loki, the original Loki, Odin. I got Black Widows. I got 3 Black Widows. Captain America's, Nick Fury's. I've got Doctor Strange from Doctor Strange. I've got the Asteroids Replicate game. I've got Hulk from Avengers. I've got a Dewback from Sideshow. I've got the the new Green Goblin, the Universe Superhuman, Fisons. So we got a lot going on over the next several weeks, several months. A whole slew of Star Wars that I'll get to sooner or later. So stick around, like, subscribe, share. Go to www.patreon.com/SIRIEMERALD. www.patreon.com/Siri Emerald. If you feel like throwing $1 my way, $2, $5, 10, 20, 50, 100. If you enjoy what I'm doing, if you enjoy the company, if you enjoy my time, throw a tip at me. I appreciate it. Trust me, all these figures I buy myself. There have been a couple that I've been gifted, and I'm very thankful for you guys that have done that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I cannot thank you enough. But Sideshow, nobody's supporting me. No one's sending me figures. I get the same deals that you guys get. Sideshow coupons and whatever else that are worthless because they're sending me coupons for stuff that I already own, so those are worthless. But I'm paying for my own figures. I'm not asking you guys to support my hobby. Just asking you guys to throw a little something my way if you feel so inclined, if you have it to do. What's $1 a month, really? And if you don't have it, there's no obligation. I've got nothing to give you other than this. And if you enjoy it, throw $1 my way. And I guess that's it. Let's see if we got any more reading on here to catch up with. Maybe this is MJ in this multiverse version of MJ. Yeah, and I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. I don't. I just hate that they used MJ. So where's Mary Jane? She would have to exist here. Mary Jane Watson would have to exist here unless she was killed. The multiverses are, they seem to be very clear in regards to if you live in this universe, you live in this universe. If you're on Earth 616, you're on Earth 199999. If you're on Earth 4263, you're on Earth 514, you're on Earth 1. You exist in all of these, just like that, was it the Jackie Chan movie, The One? Where they were another multiverse movie. You exist in all of them. So Mary Jane exists. Mary Jane Watson exists in this universe. She would have to, unless something happened to her and she was killed. So, and Emma Watson, I think was her name. I think that was his mom's name. Her aunt's name or something. I don't remember. But she was like friends with Aunt May, and Aunt May and they kept trying to hook Peter up. It was a whole story. It went on for many, many episodes of where they were trying to get these two together. And Peter's like, yeah, I'm not in the mood for a girlfriend. And I certainly don't want anybody that's got to be hooked up with me because she's obviously, there must be something, that I wouldn't find appealing about her. And then, like he was always escaping whenever they would try to bring her over. And it was quite clever how the story was going along. And as the story continued on, and he was always sneaking out and avoiding meeting her, and just figured that she wasn't going to be worth his time. And at one point he opens the door and she's standing right there. And the first words she says to him was, "Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot." And he became Tiger. And that's the whole story of the whole thing. It has absolutely nothing to do with this MJ. Nothing. So now when he does meet her, he certainly can't call her MJ. And that's the problem. They used the same moniker for her. It'd be like as if they took a character and made him a green monster and said, that's the Green Goblin, and he's not Norman Osborn or Harry Osborn. He's Fred Dusseldorf. And he looks nothing like a goblin. He acts nothing like a goblin. And he's not Harry Osborn. So then when Harry Osborn makes the Green Goblin, we can't call him the Green Goblin now because the Green Goblin already exists. And Harry Osborn's obviously in every universe. So that's my only problem with it. I don't care who they used. Like I said, his love interest could have been anything he wanted it to be. I have no problem with her being his love interest. I have a problem with them calling her MJ. That's the problem. That's truthfully my only problem with it. Don't give a damn who he falls in love with. Betty Bryant was a girlfriend of his to some degree. A love interest of his. She ended up marrying John. No, she ended up marrying Ned Leeds. But I think also she dated the Hobgoblin, mhm, who was Ned Leeds. But I think Mackinday, wasn't that who was also the Hobgoblin? I forget. It's so hard to keep track of all these. All right, guys. Thank you very much for sticking it out. It was nice chatting with y'all. You know where to find me next week. We will be unboxing something, I'm sure. Peace. Love you guys.